What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and you check out the content. And I want to talk about Joy Taylor, right? And I was watching the O'Shea Duke Jackson, and he was talking about Joy Taylor. And I wanted to react to this situation with Joy Taylor because she is a perfect example of what happens to women when they focus too much on on their exterior and how they look on the outside rather than developing themselves from the inside. And sooner or later it always catch up with you, right? And Joy Taylor is one of those women, and there's a few other women who you see like that who more so rely on their physical appearance and don't develop themselves, even though Joy Taylor had enough time to develop her talents and things like that while she was while she was working on these different networks. She didn't take that opportunity to do that. She used the fact that she's very attractive, and she lived off of that. And now that she is no longer with with the Fox network or any other network, and she's trying to do her own thing, she's not having the type of success that she had when she was affiliated with these other networks. And the reason for that is the fact that she never really developed her talent. She didn't take advantage of the opportunities. She didn't use the time that she had at Fox to build real relationship. She didn't have take and try to not only just build real relationships but prove herself. Like, I'm sure that most people look at her and say, well, she's just here because she's a very attractive woman, right? And that could have been how she got in the door. I don't know, or maybe because her brother is somebody who's he's well known in the sports world. So that probably too could have played a part in it. But then now when it comes to you trying to make a way for yourself and you're trying to set out and do things on your own, is you're having a hard time. Like, one person who comes to mind is somebody who's able to leave a network and to make herself successful was Jamel Hill, right? Jamel Hill was with, she's with ESPN. I'm not sure, she was with a couple different networks, but Jamel Hill is very talented and very intelligent. So that means that when she stepped away from the large network, she's able to get out there and make things happen for herself. So with that being said, man, let me go ahead and play uh react to this video by this O'Shea Duke Jackson. I think he made some good points too.
Have brought the attention to me of the one and the only Joy Taylor. Now, Joy Taylor used to be on Fox Sports until, I don't know, I think they stopped her in late 2024, 2025. I don't think many people really appreciated her on Fox Sports News. I don't know why she was there, but ultimately they felt that she had to go, and rightfully so. I don't mean to be sexist or against women, but I feel like a lot of men feel largely uncomfortable with certain sports hosts, and that many of these women that are covering mainstream sports topics or football or basketball, that they may not have the wide range of ability to talk about the subject, some of them. And then also it just makes it, very uncomfortable in the workspace, and men can't really, kind of really be themselves. And that really comes across on camera. So,
And that's true. That's why I said it's important. It was important for her to get and use that opportunity to prove herself instead of just relying on her looks. Even if you go to Joy Taylor's, like, you see her on social media, she's always posing and more so focused on how she looked. And then if you listen to her podcast, she don't have anything deep and insightful to talk about. Now, on the other hand, if you go to Jamel Hill's her podcast, she always has something insightful and something, the conversation that really make people think. Whereas though you can tell that Jamil Hill really, she's a professional and she knows what it is that she's doing and she know what it is that she's talking about. And it's not the same. It's just not the same with this young lady here, Joy Taylor. She's more so about how she looked.
Anyway, she was let go. Now, since this time, which we all suspected, Joy Taylor has not been able to establish
Hold on.
her own fan base. We've seen other people do it that come on YouTube. We've seen Paul Pierce do it very well. We've seen Toure, who is really blowing up right now on YouTube. He's a really excellent presenter. We're seeing him do it, but we're not seeing her do it.
Okay, so all right now, O'Shea used he used guys as an example, right? And the thing about using men as an example and comparing them to Joy Taylor, I think the point is missed that women have a different, like, their road to success, especially in the sports world, is different than men's, right? Because men don't have that. Men can't fall back on how they look, and they're not falling back on sleeping their way to the top, because that don't work for men, right? And that's why I like to use Jamil Hill as an example. There are some other women in professional sports, like I like the what's her name, Maria Taylor. I think her name is Taylor. She's very knowledgeable and very intelligent, right? So if she was to step away from, I think she's with Fox. She do football too. So if she was to step away from Fox and wasn't doing football for a major network, she's somebody who can succeed on her own, because she knows what she's talking about, and she's very professional, and she knows the media business very well. But Jamil Hill is also somebody who falls into that category. So I don't really like comparing Joy Taylor to guys, because the road that a guy have to take to success is a little bit different. They don't expect men to try to sleep their way to the top or anything like that. So,
in fact, she's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Nobody listens. Nobody watches. Her and like Melissa Ford. I mean, like, Melissa Ford is a joke. Melissa Ford should stay the Joe Budden podcast. Melissa Ford is awful. All those connections, completely terrible on the platform.
And see, and I used to say the same thing about Melissa Ford. When you think about Melissa Ford, one thing about these two, like Melissa Ford and Joy Taylor, they like to take the victim approach, right? And instead of trying to learn how to, they want to use words like, they want to call you misogynist and use shaming techniques when it comes to, talking about men and saying men never gave them any opportunities. Just think about it. When you take this road, the shaming techniques, and you call men misogynists, you kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because now men have a certain impression of you. They think that you are a victim, and you shame them, and that affects your business life and your social life. And it just so happens that the other young lady that I brought up, what's her name? Jamil Hill, she's married. These two young ladies are not married, and they have a sort of a jaded look when it comes to business, and a jaded mentality when it comes to personal relationships. And so, yeah, I'm glad that he mentioned this young lady in here too. Melissa, they just focus, they put everything, all their eggs in one basket, and it comes to it comes down to looks with them.
She is awful. Okay, terrible. But she's better. She is better, in my Umar voice, than Joy Taylor. And when you're terrible, frustrated, and you have nothing to do, you come out to say this.
If I could have one wish for the world, it would be that men and women could get pregnant. Because if men and women could be pregnant, we would not be having these conversations. this would not be an issue. If men could get pregnant, you could get an abortion at a drive-thru. If men could get pregnant, the studies that would have been done on giving birth, you could give birth and feel absolutely nothing and recover in 3 days.
All right, so like this conversation right here that Joy Taylor is having, like, I don't understand it. It's just a clip, but I don't understand like the point of this conversation, right? I really don't, and I guess he's trying to say that, you know, like it's men are unfair and they have unfair advantages. Again, if you take that victim mentality, it's going to change the way you see things. It's going to change the way you think. It's going to change the way you operate. Go to the young lady, like I said, what's her name, Jamil Hill, and look at her podcast and look at the things that she talk about. So she don't have to come on and hold this type of conversation, a pointless conversation about, you know, men getting pregnant, hypotheticals that, you know, it just really don't have no point.
This is important. I would love to talk about this. First of all, her video wanted to prove 3 points, 4 points. Motherhood and pregnancy are dangerously minimized. I couldn't play the whole thing because of copyright strikes. And basically, she's saying that the broad cultural conversation is that children or pregnancies are viewed as something as simple or casual requirement. And her argument is the entire process is complex, scary, and this is a very big medical experience for a woman, and you could even die. Point taken. She's also saying that the trad wife movement, which is traditional wife, is harming women because she's been married once and been divorced, doesn't want kids. She says this patriarchal messaging.
All right, so she's saying that being a traditional wife is harming women. I mean, I disagree, but I'm not a woman. I just think that women who lean into just their sexuality, I think in the long run cheat themselves. Instead of, you know, developing your mind and becoming more knowledgeable about the lane that you want to go down, I think that's what's going to pay off in the long run. And so Joy Taylor, Melissa Ford, they have a victim-like mentality and they try to shame men because they only know one way to get things done. And it's, you know, it's physically, right? They don't, like, mentally, they don't really work. They don't work hard. They go for the low-hanging fruit. If they can get things accomplished by dating somebody, they would prefer to choose that route than to develop their minds and develop skills on their own, whereas though they can rest on that and they can stand on that. If Melissa Ford or Joy Taylor had, you know, if they were like Jamel Hill and they worked and they had something to show for their work and they could back it up, then people would pay, like, whatever type of conversation they wanted to have, then people would give more respect to that. But they don't respect these conversations from these ladies because they know that these ladies are basically disgruntled employees. So they only know one way, like I said, of doing business, and that's sexualizing themselves. And when that don't work, you know, then they blame men. You know, they blame it on the men. And so, like I said, these women are just examples of how you can cheat yourself when you go for this low-hanging fruit. And that's my take on it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video. Peace.